When Forrest Gump died, he stood in front of St. Peter at the pearly gates. St. Peter said, "Welcome, Forrest. We've heard a lot about you." He continued, "Unfortunately, it's getting pretty crowded up here, and we found that we now have to give people an entrance exam before we can let them in." "Okay," said Forrest. "I hope it's not too hard. I've already been through a test. Mommy used to say, life is like a final exam. It's hard." Well, Forrest, I know, but this test only has 3 questions. And here they are. What 2 days of the week begin with the letter T? How many seconds are in a year? What is God's first name? Well, sir, the first one is easy. What 2 days of the week begin with the letter T? Today and tomorrow. St. Peter looked surprised and said, "That wasn't the answer I was looking for, but you have a point. I will give you credit for that answer." "Next question," said Forrest. "How many seconds are in a year?" 12. 12, said St. Peter in surprise and confused. "Yes, sir. January 2nd, February 2nd, March 2nd. St. Peter interrupted him. "I can see what you mean. I will give you credit for that one as well. And the last question," said Forrest, "what is God's first name?" "It's Andy." "Andy," said St. Peter in shock. "How did you come up with Andy?" And he said, "I learned it in church. We used to sing about it." And Forrest broke into song. "Andy walked with me, and he talked with me, and he tells me I am his own." St. Peter opened the gate to heaven and said, "Run, Forrest, run." Most of us like the Forrest Gumps of the world, people who always seem to land on their feet. Movie characters like Ferris Bueller, who is always one step ahead of those trying to catch him. Or like James Bond, who seems to survive one tough situation after another. We like people who seem to turn an unfavorable situation into a favorable one. And whether we realize it or not, many of us have achieved things that others could not imagine. Perhaps it's pulling through a season of a job loss and finding a new opportunity that you never expected. Maybe it's walking through a health crisis or a broken relationship and discovering strength you didn't know you had. Or maybe it's as simple as finding the courage to keep showing up when life feels overwhelming. We all survive things that others cannot fathom, like cancer or the death of a child. We need to make sure that our focus is not on earthly wealth, but the wealth that will lead us towards heaven. In our first reading from the prophet Isaiah, Isaiah has gone into northern Israel and is admonishing the rich who are making money at the expense of the poor. He says, "Hear this, you who trample upon the needy and destroy the poor," he says, "the poor of the land." He closes by saying, "The Lord will never forget the thing that they have done." Luke's gospel ends like this: "No servant can serve 2 masters. He will either hate one and love the other, or be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and mammon." From these few sentences, you can see that the message today is putting our wealth or whatever, or for that matter, whatever power, prestige, earthly pleasures, all above God is wrong. And God will not forget. We can't survive or serve 2 masters. But then there's this parable in the middle of the gospel about the dishonest manager. The owner of the land discovers the manager has been cheating him and basically tells him, "Clear out your desk because you're fired." The manager knows that no one will hire him again as a manager, and he doesn't want to dig ditches or beg. He quickly calls in his master's debtors, and he reduces their debts that they owe, therefore giving him and guaranteeing him a future. Like the movie characters I mentioned above, this guy knows how to pull victory from the jaws of defeat. He's still a crook, but he's a really shrewd crook. But the morality of the manager is not the concern of Jesus. It isn't his focus. He centers on the man's ability to respond to a crisis. The way the manager tried to ingratiate himself to others by lowering their debt so that he would have a future. Jesus appreciates the man's fundamental savvy in the employment of his worldly wealth to help us secure his future. This parable and the proclamation of Amos lets us know how we use our wealth has eternal consequences. Both are basically saying, use your wealth you have not just for your benefit here in this world, but let it benefit you in the next. And our wealth isn't just money. Our wealth is all those gifts that have been given to us by God, our unique abilities and talents. And we need to use our wealth for the kingdom of God. Maybe we have the ability to lead and possibly lead someone away from a life of dependence on alcohol or drugs. Perhaps we have that gift to make someone who is lonely feel part of the group. We might have survived cancer or the loss of a family member, and we can use our experience to help another going through the similar experience. Like the shrewd manager, we may have the Midas touch when it comes to money. Use that money not just for your personal benefit, but to help those less fortunate. All of our wealth can be useful if employed in the service of God. Earthly wealth is not evil as long as we remember and abide by the phrase of caution. No man can serve two masters. Now, I doubt Forrest ever thought he would have to take an entrance exam to get into heaven. But like the dishonest manager, he used his craftiness to secure his future. Forrest used his unique God-given abilities, plus his unusual childlike perspective, to get into heaven. We also need to think about our future and how we can use the wealth God has given us to help others, so that when we appear at the pearly gates, like Forrest, we will hear the praise, "Run, Forrest, run."